to the Smash Jump Podcast, your place for honest and passionate gaming conversations. I'm your host and Smash Jump contributor, Nicole, and I'm here with some people.
Hello, I am that people. I am a person. My name is Sam. I'm a video production manager and also a Smash Jump contributor.
Ben, that's you.
What's your name, buddy?
Hello. I'm also a person, I think, called Ben, and I'm also a Smash Jump contributor.
Me too.
And we're here to talk about Atomfall because we are the only ones that finished it, except for Sam. He planned to finish it and then he didn't. So
Amateur.
I apologize.
yeah, you turd. It's okay.
I was
so we're
out-
gonna save us.
I'm gonna say I was out.
You're
I was out in a car. I was out in a fucking jeez. I was out at an arcade last night until 1 a.m. So
Yeah.
leave me alone.
I was asleep because I finished it days ago. Yeah, and so one of us hasn't finished Atomfall. We're gonna save ending spoilers for the end, but we're gonna mainly talk about just how the game is overall. Talk about some moments with characters, but you know, let's just have some fun. And if you want to stick around, stick around. If you don't. There you go. All right.
Sure.
Very straightforward, Nicole. Very
I
straightforward.
just I don't give a damn. I don't know what I'm doing. Ashton's not here, so I'm just going with whatever. So
Cool.
Just
Yeah.
winging it.
I'll tell you what.
winging it.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what the best thing probably would be to start off with. How did we all? What were our thoughts and feelings in like that first hour? I think that's probably a good place to start. I mean, I can go first if you guys want. So
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
with the first hour, I started on the recommended difficulty that it gave, which was the survivor difficulty.
Yep.
And that throughout my entire playthrough, for however long I played, 9 hours I think, that's been very, very challenging. There's been some times of the combat where it's been incredibly frustrating, but also really rewarding as well. But within the first hour, literally the first thing I did when you wake up on that bed, and the scientist comes in bleeding out and everything. I swear I've told you guys this before, but what I basically did for the people watching, he wanted the bandage. I was like, no, I'll give you the key card. So then I got the key card from him, and then he still wanted that bandage. So I went around, I got a few bits, came back, crafted it, gave him the bandage, and then that's when he just turned around to me and went, right, now get out of here. And I was like, you son of a, and they just whacked him and killed him. And I was like, this game's awesome. I can just kill whoever I want.
Kill anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Good old days.
I went out, spoke to that guy on the telephone, and then I went all the way down to that little. You go down the thing. You see that guy's playing the guitar as well.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick saved it and then punched him as well, just in case he was an important character later on. So I just wanted to test the limitations. You know, I played RPGs before, like Fallout 4, where certain NPCs are just invulnerable. And you really want to just sock them in the face, but you can't. But it sounds like every single one you can just fucking punch them in the face.
Just a menace to society.
Yeah,
just going around
with these hands. Yeah, the good old British way.
Yeah.
Just starting scraps.
Yeah. Yeah, just throbbing down.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
yeah.
I've not even had a couple of pints in me yet, and I'm already starting to throw hands.
I thought that it was. So my favorite thing about Game Pass games is that did we all play this via Game Pass?
No, we got review code. Got review code via Rebellion for me.
So you got it, yeah, cool. And then you did that. So I waited for Game Pass, so I was doing that. But the thing that I really love about Game Pass games, I tend to be like, oh, how's the first hour going? You know, I'm not in a rush to play this. I can just peace out. But I played like the first 20 minutes, and suddenly I was completely consumed by it. It was just so addicting to play. And my favorite thing was actually when you emerge. I helped the guy, by the way, because I'm not a crazy person. I emerged from the little bunker. And I went immediately out, and it kind of gave me Elden Ring vibes when you emerge, because you see this huge vista of all the places you're eventually going to go. And then immediately in front of you is the telephone box, which is similar to when you emerge in Elden Ring. There's a little site of grace, and it kind of tells you where to go. It's the same way the phone booth tells you where to go. And I found that super, super cool. Every time I went past a phone, if I'd progressed story, I was like, it's going to ring. And then it did. But then if I hadn't done anything in a while, it doesn't ring. So I'd just be like, every time I walked past one, I was like, But I loved it. How was the intro for you?
Yeah, you always go a little bit closer to it just in case it rings.
Yeah, I think you go straight to it and just stare at it.
Yeah, I'm like walking past it like, please ring. I want to hear your voice again.
Yeah.
The first hour for me, I think, was maybe kind of a mix of the two experiences. So I helped the guy in the bunker, and then when you leave, he was like, "Oh, you best leave because if you don't, something bad's going to happen to me. I don't want you to be around for it." And so my response to that was, "Oh, well, I'll put you out of your misery then," and turned around and broke his neck after I'd helped him.
Wow. Yeah, that's
I'm
way
like,
worse
well,
than what
I
I
don't want to
did.
run the risk that like the guy's gonna turn and I'm gonna come back at some point later and he's gonna be like
Stab you
a
in the
boss
back.
waiting to kill me. I was like, I am not taking that risk. Um, and then I had a similar experience kind of emerging out and it being like, it's like that initial moment in Fallout 3 when you come out the vault for the first time
That
and
one
it's
too, yeah.
bright light and then, this world opens up to you and you've got the power station in the background and it's instantly this kind of like iconic scene of, emerging out. And then I went into that like little quarry town that's at the bottom of the hill and proceeded to die a lot.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't. So I did that. I think I sent you guys a video. That little quarry town. I climbed up into that little tower, and then I waited for them. I triggered them all to chase after me, and everyone would climb the ladders. I sat at the top with an axe, being like, and then they keep coming up,
Yeah.
and I just keep hitting them, and they all started dying at the top of that ladder. And I killed everyone in that base like that, and then looted the hell out of it.
That actually happened to
So-
me yesterday, when I think I was in Skeletmore and I went to this little place where a bunch of outlaws were, and there was this corridor that went into the big open area. And as soon as I stepped through the door into the open area, everyone fucking saw me, and I was like, oh, okay. Right, so I just go back. And then everyone started coming through that corridor, so I was just there with a shotgun just blasting people away. And when I was doing this, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, this is way too easy. Like, why? I should really give them like a fighting chance and just like get the
My
fists out
experience
again.
with that was with the prison.
Yeah.
The prison,
Yeah.
which
So
I have
obviously
literally
I-
just got to. So.
Yeah.
Uh,
I cleared
and
that place out.
yeah, same.
Yeah.
And then fighting your way out of the base that's surrounding it.
I didn't even
There's
fight. I
lots-
just ran.
Well, that was a big thing that I kind of realized at some point with the combat is that there's a lot of situations where the easiest option is just to run away.
Yeah.
You get
My-
so
my-
limited in resources that
My favorite thing about the prison was that when I freed Dr. Garrow and like let all hell break loose, I was running through the areas trying to get out of there, killing anyone in my way. And when I made it through, I made it to the point where there's the prison guys, the prisoners who are in that little recreational area, and they'd all broken out in all the chaos. And I killed them all, like them and then the guards. And I was like, I just want to see what's on their dead bodies. They all had shivs. All the prisoners, and I was like, this makes sense. This makes sense because it's just like everyone, like there's always the joke that prisoners have shivs. So I really liked that. I think that the combat for me, so my boyfriend came in at one point and saw me shooting, and I was shooting everyone in the face. And my aim, I will say, was pretty good because I was playing on survival, and I was like, it's a waste of bullets if I don't get them in the face. So I was waiting for them to like line up and try to like get them down a corridor, like you guys are saying, and then just trying to shoot them in the face as they were coming at me. I think they were pretty good. It was just is it the thralls? Those guys I hated.
Yeah.
Nightmare to kill. It would take me like my entire revolver and then a couple of extra shots to the point that anytime I knew they were thralls, I'd just get a bunch of nades and just start lobbing them into the room just to take them out quickly. Also, I didn't like how slow they walked. It was very Alien Isolation, like with the androids, where they have glowing eyes and just start stalking towards you very slowly.
Yeah.
The thralls are the
creepy.
infected,
the first
ones with the gas
time-
masks on, aren't they? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, or just
Yeah,
the guys who are just a
yeah.
bit naked.
So the first time, the first time I encountered the thralls, I ended up cheesing the fight. So it was in the infirmary in
the medical
center
yeah.
in Interchange, and
Yeah.
I walked up to one, didn't realize it was an enemy because it just stood there. Walked up to him to be like, oh, maybe this is someone I can talk to. And then immediately find myself being chased down by like 4 of them.
Did you not hear the
With
music
basically
that played?
ammunition left.
Yeah, but
No,
maybe
I
they
didn't,
just
there was
misunderstood.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he
Like
stared at me
ghouls.
for a few seconds before reacting, and I bolted back out. But because I had basically no ammo left, I ended up hiding behind a desk.
I did the
And
exact
they
same.
didn't have the AI to walk around the desk and get to me, so I was just throwing grenades at their faces, healing myself, throwing more grenades at their faces, healing myself until they were all dead.
Yeah.
And then later on in the game, when I got the automatic shotgun,
I didn't get
they
that.
ended up being fairly easy to kill. 2 or 3 shots to the face and they were down.
I had a nightmare of a time playing. So I didn't really have an issue with ammo because I was really good at conserving it, running around when I needed to. I kept a hatchet or an axe on me at all times so I could get melee when I needed to, and tried to like get them
I
all
had
to line
no
up
melee weapons.
appropriately.
I was like,
Yeah,
no,
I
thank you
made
for
sure I
melee.
always have a backup melee. I'm paranoid. But for me, it was so as I said the other day. When I was going through the game, I realized going into the final step of the ending. I'm not going to talk about the ending yet, but when I was going in there, I was like, "Huh, I've reached endgame, and I've not once upgraded my weapons because I may or may not have gotten the man who had the weapons upgrades killed. So, am I crazy for doing this?" And to be fair, I ran
No,
into the ending and just sprinted past everyone. There were thralls everywhere, and I was like, "Psst."
that's what I did. Yeah,
Yeah,
just ran
yeah,
past everyone. The
yeah.
the problem I had with that upgrading system is that it
I never
doesn't
did it,
really
so I'm hearing it
gel.
for the first time.
Yeah,
Right?
it doesn't really gel with the rest of the gameplay. So, you've
Mm,
got very, very limited inventory space.
yes.
You can only put weapons other than pistols in the big slots, and you've only got 4 of them.
Do you use the pneumatic tubes to put things in?
Yes.
Oh,
But here's the problem with that is in order to upgrade those weapons, you have to have multiples of that weapon at that rarity tier. So it's 2 per level of that level. So 2 rusty to make a stock, 2 stock to make a pristine. Well, it might be more stock to make a pristine. But because you've got such limited space to carry actual weapons, if you want to do upgrading, you either need to be stockpiling weaponry from quite early on, so you've got a build up of weapons you can use to upgrade, or you need to intentionally be carrying only 1 or 2 weapons on you at all times, so that you've got space to pick 1 or 2 up, and then run to a bunker, drop them off in the pneumatic tubes, to go back out into the world and collect more.
yeah.
So it's a system that really encourages you to hoard items, but then
Yeah.
that
Doesn't
goes
give you the space
against
for it.
yeah. So if you want to, go and farm 1 or 2 weapons at a time and run back to a bunker and then go back and do it again, then the system's great. But outside of that, I I was quite disappointed with that because I really thought the upgrade system was going to be a bit of a game changer. And the only part of
Yeah.
it that was pretty exciting was one of the perks of heart of it basically doubles your ammo capacity.
Oh, I wish. Oh. Wow. Yeah,
So
I didn't have
that
any of that.
yeah, that was the best part of it, was having double ammo made things a lot easier for combat going into the end of the game for me.
Yeah.
I don't think
Do we have any particular? Sorry, go on.
No, we're all talking at the same time. Ben, go on.
I was just going to say, did we have any kind of standout weapons that we kind of really enjoyed using, or were kind of our go-to?
My revolver. My rusty revolver.
Revolver.
It was just good. It packed a bigger punch, shot fast. Only problem was when it was reloading. I'd be like trying to reload, guys come at me and I'd start kicking, just being like, leave me alone. I'm gonna reload. And then that was about it. So
Double
yeah,
barrel
that was mine.
shotgun,
And a hatchet.
double barrel shotgun, and the farmer's knife.
I heard the
For me, it
farmer's
was,
knife is the tits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, makes melee.
See, I completely avoided melee entirely. I didn't carry a single melee weapon with me at all, past the one
Why?
you initially get, because the melee sucks.
So
It's awful.
I don't think it sucks.
I loved it.
I don't think it sucks.
doesn't
I just think that it's kind of half baked, because when you're fighting 1-on-1, it's good. You can get an advantage in a fight. 2 people, fair enough. You can do crowd control. 3 or 4 people, especially when you're in an outlaw camp and every single outlaw knows where you are, and there's 6 of them running towards you, some of them with guns and some of them with giant sledgehammers and axes. That's when it gets a little bit like, right, okay, let me just put the knife down, let me get my old trusty double barrel out and start blasting.
Yeah.
So
And that was a big part of the combat for me, was that after the initial first hour or 2, when those situations were happening to me quite a lot, where people were beelining to me from the other side of a camp, or were pulling off these shots with the shotguns from 100 meters away, that I actually chose to reduce the AI aggressiveness and combat skill down a level because it
Nicole's
it
really
was just
affected
pissing me
by
off.
that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dare you?
it's. I still found that there was some challenge to it didn't make the combat easy by any means, but the early stages of the game for me when I first got into some combat situations, and particularly when I first went into a bunker and encountered some of the feral that, despite the game multiple times telling me to sneak past them, would spot me the moment I got anywhere, even within earshot of them. Just no matter how slowly I would walk past them, with
That's
the
another
upgraded
thing.
stealth
The
perk.
stealth wasn't great.
No.
So
Yeah,
I barely stealthed. I did it a couple times just to make my life easier, but that's another thing as well. So I love stealth. So this game didn't do stealth very great. I am going to talk about the prison here. So you might be part way to getting to the prison, Sam. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to
I
talk
just
about
say
it.
just
Hopefully
literally step through
have a
the
bit.
doors. And that's when I last
Oh, that's
saved.
fine. Okay. So, how did you step through the doors? Because I decided to rat out someone in the
I did the
to
same.
the main military guy.
did the
Yeah,
same.
because I was like I could shoot my way through and have a terrible time with all the mechs and everything, or I could easily just get a pass, walk through the front door, and then let all hell break loose when I let the doctor go.
Yeah.
So,
same.
okay. Oh, so we all did the pass, and then okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
So, who did you guys rat out in the village?
So so when I first went into what's it called now? Wyndham Village.
Yeah,
when I
Wyndham.
first went into
Wyndham
Wyndham
Village.
Village, went straight to the church, found the murder, and I was like, right, I'm gonna solve this. Found the guy that did it,
Yeah, same.
and I beat him to death.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So I basically did the same thing. So I wasn't able. I wasn't able to ever upgrade my weapons because it was
It was
spoilers,
him!
It was the guy. It was him. Yeah. So I didn't actually kill him. I ratted him out to the main police guys, the martial law guys. But the problem is, I'm assuming they killed him. So I got him killed basically. So
I wanted I wanted
Morris.
to,
I ratted him out,
rat
but
him
for a
out.
completely different reason.
I wanted to rat him out, but he started fighting me. Like, he started getting his hands out. I was like, right, okay, well, I guess this is happening. So then I just beat him
I
to
told
death.
him I was going to take his deal, and then I went and immediately rat him out. So I didn't fight him. So.
He just...
See, I ratted him out, but with a completely different method. So I didn't actually discover the murder until well after I had ratted him out. But what I did discover was there's some kind of like ruins off to the side of Wyndham, where there's various notes and letters indicating that he is a spy for like the church and stuff,
that's what
but
I
doesn't
found.
actually implicate him in any
Yeah.
of the murder. So I ratted him out for being a spy, not for the actual murder. And then it wasn't until later that I discovered the murder and was like, oh, hey, this murder's taken place. I've already ratted out your spy, so don't double cross me and give me a shit.
Jesus, Ben.
To the priest.
Wow. Wow, Ben, I didn't even know you could do that. That's the thing. There are some cool RPG elements to the game. Yeah.
And I think
Very-
that's ultimately what I really like about it, is there's not one linear path. Like, I thought it was just going to be similar to Fallout and similar to other RPGs, where you get told by an NPC, you go on this quest and get me, I don't know, this mug of tea or something, and then come back to me, and then I'll give you 5 gold shillings or something, I don't know. And then, but then as soon as I got into the actual game and started playing it, within that first hour, I was like, right, it's not like holding my hand as much as I thought it was. And at the start of it, I thought to myself, oh fuck, like, how am I going to do this? And then when I actually started playing and getting accustomed to the combat and to the actual mechanics, I'm like, right, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing. And I like it. I like the freedom that it gives me.
Yeah.
Instead of just giving me like a marker and telling me to go somewhere.
Yeah, I want to jump on that in a moment, but I actually wanted to ask you guys, what did you do with the baker woman and her husband? What did you do with them? Because I was tempted to rat them out, but I already kind of fucked that up. So what did you do with them?
Go on, Ben.
I was tempted to rat them out, and I tried to kind of investigate the bakery a bit further and maybe like take him out myself. But he absolutely battered me, so I left him alone. And I ended up just giving them the cure, going and doing
I did the
all
same,
the
and then
stuff.
I went back to visit later because she told me I could visit later. And then when I got back, he'd like pieced out, and I was like, "Damn it! I was going to rat you out," and then I didn't get the options. Then I had to find someone else to rat out, and that's why I ratted out Morris. What did you do, Sam?
So I also did what Ben did. I wanted to see exactly what he was like what stage of infection he was. So
It was bad.
I got the door key, opened the door, fucking beat me up, and just left me there to just bleed out. And I was like, all right, okay, well he's too far gone now, so something has to happen
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So I didn't give them the cure. Instead, what I did is I went up to Sims and I was like, yo, there's an infected in the in the village, and he was like, oh, okay, I'll go send someone to deal with that. Here's a key to the prison. I'm like, oh, sweet, thank you. So then
that's how you did it.
just out of curiosity, I then went back to the bakery. The soldiers had killed them both.
Yeah.
And they were basically talking about it, and one of them was like, oh, why should you keep this infected person here? Oh, that's like traitor behavior. And the other guy was like, dude, it's a husband. Like, that's a horrible thing
chill.
to say. Like, relax. And he was like, nah.
Conversations are fun.
Yeah, he was just like, no, I don't want an infected in the village. No, we did right shooting them. So he was like slumped against the wall, and she was on the floor. And I kind of just I stayed there for a little bit, and I was like, well, this was awkward, but to the prison.
Consequences of my actions.
But I'm gonna go to Skithermore now because
prison.
I've got the prison card. So
Oh.
So yeah,
Wow.
no, I basically ratted them out and got them both killed. But he was too far gone.
So
he was way too far
They
gone.
were.
He was way too far gone.
They were.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something in a minute. I'm just going to bring it up now. But did
Okay.
you two ever find Dr. Holder
Yes.
in the Reverend's basement of the church? Okay, cool. We'll talk about that later because I really enjoyed that, and he was my favorite part of the game. But yeah, so if we jump to back to what Sam was saying about the discovery in the game and like kind of wandering around. So my favorite part of the game was just the natural discovery of everything. No big waypoint markers. I'm looking at you, Ubisoft. We've got to find a way.
Bethesda.
Ubisoft, stop doing it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the way that the game felt so natural. It doesn't really tell you to do anything. Kind of like Elden Ring in the way that it's just like, hey, just go forth and find phone booths. Occasionally get an update and just have fun. And it was so refreshing when someone would say to me, oh yeah, go speak to this person over here. I'd look at my map and I'd be like, oh, they're in this area. Cool, I'll take a look. And I'd naturally stumble upon things. I found like all of the atomic batteries before I needed them because I was so busy just like farting around having a good time. So how do you feel the exploration for you then?
There's a huge amount of atomic batteries, and I think once you get to a point where you can quite easily take out the robots, they're just super common, super abundant. And did you speaking of the robots, did either of you guys figure out that you can put the atomic batteries back into them?
Yes, I
them
did. Well, I looked at the achievement for it, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
But I was looking at the achievement list when I was trying to do some stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's fun. Can't be asked, but fun." So yeah, I yanked one out of one of them because he annoyed me. So
yeah, it was pretty good. Although I was like, oh, I discovered I can put these batteries back in. In the end, where there's some more of them around, I was like, oh, maybe I can get them to fight for me. And this would be a really cool way to end it. But no, they just killed me anyway.
Yeah.
So the only time that they didn't be friends. But yeah, back to the exploration. I genuinely did find it really refreshing to have that kind of freedom to go where I wanted and do what I wanted. What I did kind of notice as I got further along into the game was that the freedoms did start to feel a little bit like an illusion.
Yes, I agree.
And what really got it for me was the kind of the five main plots that the narratives that are there, where you've got various different people that can offer you routes to escape from the quarantine zone.
Yeah, you got you got Sims, you got the phone,
you've got Sims, you've got the
radio
phone, radio lady, you've got Holder. You've
Garrow.
got Mother Jago.
Garrow.
Mother Jago. There's 6 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
At least. Yeah.
it was seeing those plot lines, and kind of how they were all basically the same, with some differences on places you go and minor differences in places you go, things you do. But they all ultimately had the exact same goal.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's the same path to get there, and it's just slight variations towards the end that really change what the differences are.
Mm.
So that
Yeah.
started making me feel like, the freedom's not actually that free. You're doing the same thing no matter what you do.
I do have
And
something
then
to
a
say
lot
about
of
that, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Carry
and
on.
then well, I also thought that a lot of the kind of the side leads that you find, and the leads that aren't really connected to the main story, all had a habit of either being a breadcrumb lead that would lead you into the main story, or would put you in the same general vicinity as the objectives for the main quest lines.
Yeah.
So everything that you did just felt like you were being funneled into this main quest line to go to the interchange and reactivate it and get
Yeah.
out of the quarantine
I
zone. And it never
I
really
felt
felt like anything I was doing was having much
very much the same.
impact or, you
So
know,
initially, I did feel that I had a lot of freedom and a lot of impact. But then, so as I started to realize that everything kind of crossed over, in a way, I didn't mind it so much because it's kind of like that whole Bioshock, would you kindly, and player freedom and the question of that.
yeah,
Most games don't have any actual freedom. They are tunneling you down a specific thing that you will eventually end up with. It's kind of like if you think about the Mass Effect trilogy. No matter what happens, in the end, you're going to get like 3 filters over the same ending, you know? But the thing about it is that I think it's obviously mostly about the journey. And even though
yeah,
you're being led down the similar paths all leading to the interchange, that it makes sense that it's everyone's goal because it's the one thing that's going to get everyone out, which is why everyone
yeah,
wants in so
yeah,
badly. So they made it feel, they like tricked me into feeling like I had so much control, and I was kind of okay with it because that's what most games do anyway. And
yeah. I
I was
think,
kind of okay with it.
yeah, I think that the thing about it that really made me feel a way about it was that I was fine with all the quest lines being pretty much the same. What I would have liked to have seen was a little bit more kind of crossover and interaction and my choices as a player impacting what's going to happen. And I know you want to talk about this. I know you do. But as far as I'm aware, that's probably one of the only places where that happens. But
Yeah.
for the majority of the other quest lines, the other things you do, there's no consequences. The
No,
prison
not with
is a prime
crossover.
example of that.
Mm.
Yeah, like
So
the prison's a prime example. I freed Garrow and murdered everyone in that base multiple times over. 10 minutes later, they'd forgotten about it. I strolled right back in and they were all friends with me again. Sim,
I do have
I was
something to
just
say
like,
about
oh,
that.
hey, guy.
Yeah, Sam, what did you have to say? Because I'm going to touch on Ben's thing in a second.
I was just gonna say that this is kind of a problem with like RPGs in general that I've kind of noticed.
Yes.
So the element of RPG is obviously role playing game. You make your decisions, they impact the story, etc. But what you said about Mass Effect perfectly just kind of hits the nail on the head. It's all gonna go into one direction.
Mm.
If you have about like 20 different branches and 20 different endings, it's a lot of work, and most developers, they don't want to go down that way because they're already crunching 40 hours, 40 hours a week,
Yeah,
or maybe even more than that. And it's just, there's so many different, like, you kind of think of it like a spider web, really. There's so many different strands of a spider's web, and they all go off in different directions. However, most RPGs only have like 3 or 4 different endings. Your
Yeah.
choices do affect how you get those endings. However,
Yeah.
they always funnel into giving you
Baldur's
the
Gate is
choice
the
for
same,
those. Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
yeah.
You can either get a bad ending or a good ending, and you can get some of the weird endings where you just that like basically kill you early,
Mm-hmm.
and then
mm,
that's it, and it's like continue because there's no point in not getting to the end of the actual game.
It's like
There's a lot of that.
I really
yeah.
like choice-based games, but it
Yeah.
reminds me of Telltale. Like Telltale always used to do it, where it was the illusion of choice. Like
Yeah.
people meme the hell out of it, but right at the very beginning of the Telltale games, it was like your choices change how the story is played out. Blah blah blah. It's a lie. You still get 1 or 2 endings. In Walking Dead,
Yeah.
Lee still gets bit. It doesn't matter if you cut his arm off or not. He still dies one way or the other. Like, it doesn't matter at the end of it. RPGs obviously have a lot more freedom of that
Yeah.
because bigger budget, more gameplay, etc., etc. But it is all the exact same thing where it just always goes to 1 or 2 different things. I was surprised to see that there were 6 different endings. But what you two just described
Yeah.
about like how you get there, after a while of playing the game, I do kind of feel I do see what you mean. Even though I've only played 9 hours of it and I don't think I'm anywhere near the ending. I can see what you mean, because it will go one way or another. How you decide to do that, that's obviously up to you. But it's gonna go one way at the end of the day.
What I will say, and I'm going to compare this to like Dishonored for myself as a way to try and compare it. So what I don't like about certain choice games is when the endings are so different that the sequel is either going to have to discard your decisions or just go for it.
Yep.
So with Dishonored, when you go into Dishonored 2, it basically discards if you do the evil choice of like killing everyone in the first game. Dishonored 2 doesn't do any of that. And I had, in Dishonored 2 as well, I went back in time and changed time. So Billy Lurk had her arm back, and I changed everything. But when I played Death of the Outsider, she still had a fake arm. And so there was still, they ignored the ending that I chose to go with one sure route through the story. And so what I do like about the way this game does things is it gives you the choices and it gives you the freedom to do things, but in the end the endings all kind of marry up to each other to have one continuous story, which I do appreciate. So
I certainly appreciate that. It's definitely put itself in a very, very good position for the sequel to blow things out of the water. I think I think if it comes back strong, really, really expands out on pretty much everything in the game, then it's in a really solid place to be a contender for an all-time great. I think the thing with the stories and the choices was, I would have liked to have seen some of the really big choices, not necessarily massively change what happens in the endings or anything like that, but just lock things off to me. When I did the prison, I was fully expecting to come back out of it and be like, okay, well, I fully understand if Sims doesn't want to help me escape anymore because I've just gone to his base and murdered all his soldiers.
Yeah,
but that doesn't happen. I talked to him after and I was like, I don't know what happened. And he's like,
that's what I did.
Okay, then.
Like, I'm an idiot. And he said, my radio's not working properly. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to wait for someone to tell me. And I was like, good, you keep waiting.
And he's like, what did you learn about?
And I was like, I ain't bringing you shit. I'm not writing myself.
Yeah, well, you get it. And he's like, what happened with the radio? How did she get into the thing? And I'm like, oh, magic. And he's like,
that's what I said.
Okay then, fine.
I didn't want to tell him about my signal
right.
thingy. I was like, I need this to get around. I'm not telling him about it. Yeah. Just act like you're
and that's the thing as well. Yeah, I mean that's the thing as well with it is that everything you do where you have a decision that potentially locks something off to you or removes something, that choice can always be done in a different way. Morris, the shopkeeper that we all sold out, he is the guy that sells you the weapon upgrade skills. So the extra ammo, the extra inventory stuff, he sells you that. If you sell him out or kill him, you can then find those.
No, Ben.
Oh no, Ben.
Same perks in the interchange.
Oh, there you are. We lost you. Say it again. Say it again.
Sorry. So with Morris, when we all saw them out, if you do that, the weapon upgrading skills can then be found in the interchange, so you can get them anyway. They can.
I didn't find them.
If you do Garrow in the prison and she gives you the signal augmenter, that can also be found elsewhere in the game if you don't get it or if you get it. Yeah. And that's the same for loads and loads of stuff. Everything can be found in multiple places, multiple different avenues. If you kill someone or lock something off, then there's always a way to get it again. And that goes back to what I was saying about the choices not really feeling like they have any impact, because no matter what you do, everything's available to you, everything's still there. And I think that just really, it didn't take away from the narrative as much, but I just wish, like with everything in the game, I just wish there was more and it was a bit more depth.
I think you probably could have.
First foray.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially when we were talking about the stealth. I think the stealth is the weakest aspect of the entire game. In fact, when I was playing it yesterday, I was trying to think to myself what kind of cons can I think of for this game? Because nothing's ever perfect, even my favorite games like Halo Reach, that has cons. I'll admit that it's not perfect.
Armor lock.
Yeah, exactly. Bloom. Loads of people think Bloom. That's a con
Bloom
as well. Yeah, it's a skill issue. Get good. But yeah, I was trying to think about like what kind of cons can I give it, and the first thing that came to mind was the stealth, because I thought it was going to be something similar to like Far Cry, for example. Like Far Cry is universally like Far Cry 3 gave us the tagging system, and every single game has used it.
So fun.
It's because it's easy, it's good for players because get an understanding as to how everything works. If there was some sort of tool like the metal detector, the signal redirector, something that you get later in the game that makes the stealth easier, then that would have negated my problems with the stealth. However, from what I've gathered online from talking to you two, there isn't anything like that. And I kind of feel like that kind of goes back to maybe what you were just saying a second ago, Ben. Refinement needed a little bit more refining. But if it's the first out in a franchise, which I'm assuming it's going to get a sequel,
I'm hoping it does.
I hope it does as well. Yeah, because it's a different like kind of game, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people would actually benefit. The industry probably would benefit from. It's something different that people kind of haven't experienced. It's familiar, but it's different. With a sequel, there's obviously room for improvement. You look at what didn't work right in the first game, and improve it in the sequel. And that's kind of what I was hoping that they could do. But the stealth is the biggest thing that I'm thinking of for con-wise. Combat does take a while to get used to. And I kind of feel that maybe if we had something like a tagging system, that would kind of make it a bit easier. But I'm pretty sure, Ben, when we spoke about it, if you go into like the easiest difficulty, there is something there that does give you that leg up.
Yeah, so obviously with the scaling difficulty and the dynamic difficulty that there is there, you've got the standard, the scavenger difficulty. Then I think there's 2 easier difficulties and a harder difficulty.
Yep.
But then within those difficulties, you can fine tune exactly, the different parameters of that difficulty. So for me, I kept everything on the scavenger difficulty, which is the default difficulty setting, and I tweaked the combat aggressiveness and how smart the AI was, because it was the impression I got quite early on. Probably made it seem harder and more frustrating than it was, and it was because of what we've talked about, where people are beelining towards you, and it felt like I was fighting Terminators that would just snipe me from across the map and track me down no matter what I did.
Those cultists, especially with the bows.
It was really, for my kind of first couple of hours while I was still getting used to how the gameplay system worked, it really set my perspective of what the gameplay was like. But that does include exploration difficulty and scavenging difficulty, and the exploration difficulty does give you the option of switching on quest markers. It'll tell you exactly where to go. It'll put it on your compass for you. I didn't. I kept all the exploration and scavenging. The only thing I changed was the aggressiveness of the AI and how smart their combat was. Everything else I kept on default difficulties.
On survival. I was like, they want me to play a game like this, I'll play a game like this.
Yeah.
So,
but it also gives you the option to increase or decrease the scarcity of items in the world. You can make it so that more ammo is more or less abundant. It takes more or less resources to craft things. I really, really like the trend that there seems to be with games at the moment, to really just giving the player the trust to tailor difficulty exactly to how it suits them.
Yeah.
To be fair, I could sit there and be like, skill issue. But there is a lot of truth behind that, though, of like, I can sit there and have the arrogance of like, oh, I've played games for so many years, I don't really have trouble with challenging myself. But there are some people who are newer, who won't have as good aim in order to be able to shoot stuff, or people with different disabilities and not able to be as reactive or something. And so playing with their own tailored experience is much more helpful. So I do really respect and appreciate that.
Exactly. So. And I know what I'm like playing games. I know if I'm going to suck ass and butt my head against the wall against something and find it enjoyable, or, I'm going to know, what, if I want to enjoy this game, I want to have a slightly easier time. So it's nice that you don't just have to drop it down a whole entire difficulty level. You can, pick and choose the bits that you're actually struggling with.
I agree with you. I think it is important for game companies now to give those robust difficulty settings, because like people like my partner, for example, like she gets easily frustrated difficult parts in games. Whenever we're playing a co-op game, like Split Fiction, for example,
Yeah. I'm
tore
playing it again with my
to
female
shreds.
friend. She couldn't
Yeah.
spam Y hard well enough during like the star going supernova
Oh
sequence.
yeah, yeah.
So she was like trying, and I'd be done already, and then we kept dying, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you, hold your controller like this, put your hand against the bottom of it, and then just do this, and just like really aggressively like jerk it off. And I was just like, go. And then suddenly when she did what I told her, then she could do it. But like she doesn't obviously have the same amount of gaming experience I do, so
Yeah.
a lot of the time I have been waiting for her to catch up. So that is a very helpful thing, especially for people who are less experienced. So, yeah.
We played Moving Out, the Team 17 game. We got to one part of it, and then she just had enough, and we've not touched it since. And this was about 3 months ago, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's not for everybody, but having difficulty settings like that, like she's literally played through the entire Dragon Age series, and that's something I never thought that she would do, but. Yeah. Sometimes, especially like when she were playing the like Inquisition, Dragon Age 2, etc., she'd have to download like mod packs to make the game super duper easy. But if you have a difficulty slider like with what Atomfall has and with other games as well that have come out recently, it just makes it a lot easier for those
And
people.
even just having a story mode where it's like
I love a story mode.
I'm not here for the action side of it. Just give me the story. It's great.
I play Mass Effect on story mode. Whenever I first went through it, every game I was like, story. Let's stick to like the adventure mode. Let's do that. And then when I played it enough and enjoyed it enough and sucked all the story out, I was like, now let's go for the insane difficulty. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of the difficulty, I had some issues and bugs that cropped up during my playthrough.
I had a couple.
Yeah, I had a few, and I think a couple of them stemmed maybe from the changes I had to the difficulty. So I don't know if anyone else experienced it, but when I first started and I first dropped down the difficulty, the gameplay and the gunplay was still quite challenging. I, just like you, Nicole, settled into that John Wick style, running really aggressively, headshotting everyone with my Lee Enfield 5-shot rifle and high impact pistol, and had an absolutely fantastic time. As I started to get further into the game, I started to notice that I was encountering more and more enemies that just would not engage in combat. So even in like the finale, one of the robots, I'm there like just popping off at it, and it's just stood there. It's noticed me, and it's just watching me take pot shots at it. Get into groups, and the enemies would get stuck behind like cover, or they would just not see me and not engage in combat. And it's one of those situations where I don't know if that's just a result of dropping the difficulty down, if they've just gone, oh, well, we've dropped it down one level, but we'll make it ridiculously easy and just not have enemies shoot at him, which I'll be very, very disappointed if that is the case. Or dropping the difficulty down has kind of introduced some anomalies into the AI that have caused them to have these issues. I don't know if that was the experience of anyone else with any of the combat of the AI.
I think it's probably the latter for yourself. I think it's probably the latter. Maybe there's something wrong with the AI there.
I think so. Yeah, because I think it's very well balanced, but
yeah. I had the sound one where every now and again the sound would just go,
I
and I'd have to dashboard, exit out of the game completely, and then go back in and do that because the sound kept going. It was quite annoying. Only when I was in Wyndham, that was quite weird. I was like, "What are you doing?" Luckily, so I wasn't like anywhere where I could die. But the other one I had was a simple one. I went on Reddit, and turns out loads of other people had the same one, which is there's this hut on the way to the Druids castle area. So there's this hut that's like a garage, the fuel pumps. And there's 3 fires, and you have to go and turn all the dials in all the valves to get the turn off. Mine never turned off.
Oh,
no matter how many times I did it in every I followed the sequence, didn't work. Then I just went, screw the sequence, let's just go ham. And it never undid it. I went on Reddit and people were like, yeah, it's glitched for me, it's bugged for me, it doesn't want to work. So I never got to go in there, never got to find out what was in there. I'm sure it wasn't that important. No. Yeah, maybe like a comment I was looking for.
A memo, probably.
I didn't have that issue. I did have the audio issue though. I had a couple of instances where the background music would just restart on a loop as I was traveling between at different like named areas. And I also had the issue of the sound cutting out. I was in combat in a later stage in one of the little towns, and all of a sudden my audio is just like really muffled, and it sounds like I've half unplugged like my headphones kind of thing, and then it just cut out completely. I had to fully restart my PlayStation for it to fix it because it was also affecting like the dashboard and the PlayStation home screen and stuff. So I'm not sure if that was like it didn't start off because I at first went onto like the PlayStation home screen and it was fine. Went back into the game, it got worse, came back out, and then that was all dead as well. So that was quite a frustrating point to come across.
I think
Sam, did you have anything?
Yeah, I don't have anything like that. Like what you two just said. I didn't really have any audio issues. I didn't really have like any graphical issues whatsoever. There was actually one funny one that happened yesterday when I went into Skethermore after ratting out that baker. I was walking along, and next thing I know, one of the protocol guards just randomly started on me. Next thing I hear, all of a sudden he's like, "Right, let's just calm down. Take it nice and slowly." I turn around and I'm like, I have the pass. Why are you being aggressive to me? What's going on? It was strange. I've got a clip of it on my PlayStation because I just thought that's really weird. I'm gonna clip that.
Actually, I did have a couple moments like that. Now that you've mentioned it, I had a couple moments where they start getting rowdy, and I'm like,
it happened twice after that, and I was like, did nobody get the memo? Did no one understand?
I was told I had safe passage.
That baker was ratted out, and Sim said, "Here's the pass. Like, look at it. It's right here." That was it. That was literally the only one that I had, though. There was nothing else.
I might have had a similar issue like that, but I took it to just being part of the game because there was quite a few instances in Skethermore where you'd have interactions with guards and NPCs, and they'd constantly make a point of the protocol guards around here. They will shoot first and ask questions later. They don't care who you are. They don't care if you've got permission. They're really trigger happy, and they will just shoot. So any instances I had where that kind of thing happened and guards were quite aggressive, I was like, oh, well, that's just the shoot first, ask questions thing, and my pass is literally just for the prison.
Right.
I had a couple moments where I thought the game was where they were like just getting on me for no reason, but then I realized there was a couple places I was going that it was technically, I wasn't trespassing yet, but I was about to be, which is why they were getting sassy on me, because there were still a couple places they didn't want you to go. Like there are these little underground little mini bunkers around Skethermore, so that's where I had a couple issues. But I was like, oh no, it's not a glitch, it's just you guys being assholes. Good. So yeah. I wanted to ask as well, actually, old lady in the mansion who looks like the queen. What did you guys do with that situation?
I just went away. I'm like, right, I'm not dealing with this schizophrenic bitch. I'm leaving. I'm going. She's like, oh, what's her butler's name again? I forget.
Oh, I don't remember.
Jenkins.
Jenks. Like,
yeah.
Jenks went to the dam to get me my tea, and he hasn't returned. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I went to the dam and I found his dead body with no key card. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I had a feeling you were dead.
I wasn't listening. Yeah, went there, found him dead, came back. She was like, and then like, you know, I got into like the
slipped into my pocket.
Not key card, but the key. I got into the creepy little conservatory. Where she was like, my sister's resting, don't go in there. And I was just like, all right, bitch. I mean, she's obviously dead too, and been dead a long time. So that was creepy.
Kind of feel bad for her a little bit.
I was very suspicious of that lady, and I snapped her neck.
What is with you?
I just straight up killed her and took the key back.
What is with you, dude?
Things that they do. I tried to help everybody. It was quite funny, actually. So before I got toward the end of the game, I decided to kind of do everyone's stories a little bit. So I was like, I progressed everyone's end game as far as I could. So Radio Lady, I did the radio towers for her. The weird druid lady, I went and did the weird thing with her where the voices spoke to me. And then Sims, I didn't want to give him the radio. I was like, screw you and your martial law. So he's the only one I didn't progress. I held onto his radio just as a fuck you. And I did everyone else's. But what I will say is, so going to the prison sequence, not too many spoilers here. You should be okay. Relatively safe, Sam. So with that, I got there and I spoke to Garrow. And I mentioned this earlier before the podcast started, I saw the interchange door, this huge door right by her prison cell. And I was like, I'm getting that open before I let her go, because I want a quick and easy escape. I don't want to have to run through this prison and deal with crap, right? So I ended up going into the interchange via the base's main entrance, which is like trespassing. Got in there, did the interchange there, got in, and then I spent the next like 7 hours in the interchange unlocking every area, like A, B, C, and D. Just did them all. Trying to, and I think it was the robotics kind of entrance that led over to the military one. And I was trying so hard to get into the interchange door to get into the prison, and I couldn't find it. And then it wasn't until later that I realized you can't. So I did all of that stuff for nothing because you can't open the door there. But on the bright side, I did go to like Dr. Garrow's office and I got all her paperwork. So when she asked me for shit later, I already had it. So that was pretty great. But I was quite annoyed that I couldn't get
I
that
hate to
interchange
break
door
it to you,
open.
Nicole, but
Can you
I'm
get it open?
pretty sure you can get it open.
No!
Because
Couldn't figure it out. I was there for hours.
I just stumbled across like the path down towards the door as I was exploring the interchange, opened it and was like, oh, this is where that prison door came to, went straight back into the interchange
So I
again.
saw a door, and but it didn't have any option on it when I tried to open it. But to be fair, I had a couple problems with it. Maybe that was a glitch. I didn't realize.
It might be that you can't open it until after you've released Garrow. Because I did it long after I let her go.
She is okay. So she escaped down it. So when I let her go, she escaped down into the interchange, and I was like, "You bitch!" I was so annoyed.
But you have to.
Like,
you definitely have to go in through the interchange to get it open, because when she escapes down it, you can't go through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after the fact, yeah, you can.
What's the point then? I only
there.
want to get it. I wanted to. I was also really annoyed because I was like, "Look, lady, I just let you out of this prison, right? Take me with you."
And she just fucks off without you.
She just fucks off without you. I was like, "Great, now I have to run out this way." You. Oh my god, I was.
Ben, I'm surprised you didn't snap her
salty.
neck when she turned her back.
I was half tempted.
You know, I only killed those 2 people. Okay. After that, I was nice to everyone. I helped everyone out.
I'm here throwing hands. Ben snapping necks. Nicole's trying to get a door open. Like, we're all having different experiences here. It's great.
I was in the interchange for 7 hours trying to get that one door open before letting Garrow go. So I ended up doing everything. I found every atomic battery. I did all the things. I turned the power on in all the areas. I did everything. The only thing I hadn't done was I hadn't found Dr. Holder, my favorite. So I actually found him in the basement later after finding loads of paperwork and finding out that there's light spoilers here, Sam, so I apologize for this, but you know, you didn't finish the game, so it's on you. Dr. Holder, when you go down into medical, you find out that Dr. Holder was one of the main researchers working on the well, there's a huge spoiler actually that I don't even know if I want to talk about it in front of Sam.
It's a spoilers discussion. Go for it.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. So I'm not going to touch on that spoiler yet, but it's definitely related to research.
Let me just do this for a second. Right, go.
No, you're good. You're good. Come back.
Go.
No, come back.
Hello.
I'll tell you when I do it. I'll give you warning because we're gonna have to talk about it. Very briefly.
It's a spoilers discussion. Go for it.
When I went to the research area, you find out on recordings, audio recordings, that Dr. Garrow had realized that she and her team had fucked up massively and accidentally, like done stuff with the substance they found after the big explosion from what year is it? Is it like 1957 the explosion happened? Is that it, or is that where you are now? I don't remember. I don't know.
1957. The Windscale fire was 1957.
Yeah. So after that whole incident, I need to know more about British history.
It's one of the top 10. It's one of the top nuclear disasters in the entire world.
I wish they'd
the
make a
history of
documentary
nuclear
about it
disasters.
that I could see, or they had someone recommend one to me.
So we basically have our own Chernobyl, then, is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
It's the biggest nuclear disaster in the UK ever, and it's like level 7, one of the worst disasters in globally that has ever happened.
That's a big number.
I like that this game kind of touches on it and reminds us that England's actually got a lot more going. So the UK's got more going on than you'd think. So Dr. Garrow pieces out and leaves Dr. Holder behind in the recording. And I found that out when I went down into medical to get some stuff for everyone, including Holder. So I ended up going back up to Holder. And this is some light spoilies for the Holder storyline. And this is part of what we were talking about earlier with the choices and how they don't really cross over enough. So he said to me, I need you to get... So I didn't get Garrow out yet. I was talking to Holder. Holder says, get Garrow out. We need her in order to be able to do something with this sample in order to destroy Oberon, because that's the central part of the nuclear facility. And the main aim is to kill Oberon, is what the telephone tells you and everyone else is telling you. So I went to go get her. got her back. I went and spoke to Holder, and he has glowing eyes because he's properly infected, but he had the foresight to decide to just let me just drug myself up and protect myself. So he gave me the drugs, and I ended up with glowing eyes, but no one questioned it. No one questioned why I was walking around with glowing eyes. That was another thing where I was like, come on, guys, like am I wearing like goggles or sunglasses forever so you can't see my eyes are glowing blue? I didn't realize they were properly glowing blue until the very end, and I'll explain that when we have the ending discussion. But yeah, so I ended up going to him, and then Gary sent me on a mission to go get something from like the dam or something or whatever, and Holder was like, oh, tell me where Garrow is, and I was like, she's here, and then I fucked off, and I was about to go to the dam, and I went, I feel like something's about to happen. So I piece back out, like I'm like, I go back into to Wyndham. I go into the interchange and I wander over to the middle of the interchange, and then there's Garrow and Holder, and they're both just chatting shit about science and stuff and just talking. And I was like, I feel like something bad's about to happen. So I'm just standing there and they're talking and they're just having a good old chat about what happened. And I was like, I thought Holder would be more mad that Garrow left him behind, but he seemed pretty chill about it. Seconds later, pulls out a revolver, shoots her in the face. And I was like, whoa. I was like, yo, Jesus Christ. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is cool. I'm glad I came back and didn't miss this, because if I'd come back and done all that stuff for Garrow, I'd be kind of pissed off that I came back and she got shot in the face. But no, here I am. And he got his revenge. And I was like, you know what?
Fair enough, pal.
She fucked up.
Yeah.
So I got to watch her get popped in the face, and I laughed. I was like, ha ha ha, deserved. So I thoroughly enjoyed the crossover moment there where they had beef and he got revenge for all her fuck ups. So yeah. I actually, before we talk about the end stuff, I do want to touch on the light twist of what actually happened and what's actually going on in Oberon, and why everything's happening. So, Sam, this is either your time to accept the spoilers or peace out of the spoilers.
God damn. Oh, well, before you actually get into that, I just want to go over one thing, just real quick.
Yeah.
And then I might peace out. I might peace out. I'll just do like a little disclaimer, or
it'll be a minute. It'll be a minute.
Out of order. The critical reception for this game has been very hit and miss, and I've been looking at some of the things on Metacritic. So right now, Atomfall on PlayStation 5 sits at 75 out of 100. You go on Xbox Series X, it's the exact same. So I'd probably say maybe it's like around about, general consensus is around about a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, probably even an 8 out of 10. And I would like to know everybody's overall
cool.
like
scores
and everything.
Okay.
But the one thing I quickly want to go over is there's a huge thing. When this game was coming out, there was a huge comparison to another nuclear role-playing game that everyone knows the name of.
Wrong.
And I think everyone's wrong with it. But the thing, what I kind of wanted to ask everyone, when there's something similar that comes out, when you look at Atomfall, you think to yourself, right, role-playing game, post-apocalyptic, kind of like Fallout, first-person shooter, gonna be exactly like Fallout, and it's not. No. There's a thing that people do where when they see something, see a trailer for a game coming out, or even a movie coming out, any piece of like media coming out, they instantly say, "Oh, that looks like Fallout," or "Oh, that looks like Halo," and it pisses me off to no end, because you're not actually looking at what the property is. You're looking at what it looks like. Exactly.
On a game.
So when I'm looking through all these different reviews, got a couple of good ones, like 8 out of 10 from places like DualShockers, Gaming Bible gave it a 9 out of 10, PSX Brazil gave it an 8 out of 10, but then you get into the mixed ones, and especially the user reviews. The user reviews are always, all of them are mentioning Fallout.
There are some really bad ones on the Xbox.
So IGN Deutschland, Atomfall thinks smaller than Fallout on many levels. It's not going to be the exact same as Fallout. It's not going to have the same budget. They weren't
trying to make Fallout.
Exactly. Going down a little bit more, I'm trying to see if I can see. Oh, here we go. Metro Gaming, an alternative to Fallout rather than a homage. Okay, yeah, that's kind of like what it is, you know. Yeah. It's not trying to be Fallout. It's trying to be something different. But there's just obviously the comparisons that have been made to Fallout.
There's one thing I could easily compare it to. The most comparable experience is We Happy Few. Is the most similar experience. The gameplay is similar. The discovery is similar. The British accents and Britishisms are all in there. It's very similar, but better. We Happy Few was not great.
So. I've seen a lot of comparisons as well to Stalker or the Metro series, which I think is a lot a lot closer in comparison to Fallout. There are some that do have similarities to Fallout.
Yeah.
For me in particular, that weapon upgrading system feels very similar to the Fallout New Vegas repair crafting system, just without any of the depth. You know,
Yeah, I
but
mean, I'd say it's a
yeah, I think there are better comparisons than Fallout.
Yeah, and this is the thing that kind of, like I said, annoys me a little bit, where people will always compare other games to this one. In this case, Atomfall is being compared to Fallout because it looks similar. It has a similar kind of feeling. Kind of brings me back to
similar
something
era, similar vibe.
Exactly. Yeah. It brings me back to something that our Lord and Savior, Gabe, CEO of Smash Jump, said, where he basically said that games copy all the time from other games.
Yeah.
Same thing from movies. You know, you might watch a film and think, oh, I've seen this like 3 times in 3 different films. It's the exact same. Like, you're gonna find comparisons, you're gonna find similarities to it, but a lot of people just take that at face value and say like, oh, it's just British Fallout. It's not.
No.
You need to actually give it a go and try it, and it pisses me
Don't
off.
assume it's Fallout, because you're gonna come out disappointed because
Yeah.
it's a different experience entirely.
To be fair, I thought that when I was going in, I was like, right, it does look similar to Fallout, and it does have a similar feeling to Fallout from what I'm looking at. But then actually playing the game is incredibly different.
Humor as well.
Yeah.
Humor, British humor's fun. Oh, everyone being called boffins, the scientists being called boffins. Absolutely
I love that.
I was like, oh, I know what that means.
Yeah, me too.
Although that being said, though, some of the dialogue that they put into it, I was a little bit confused by it. Like some of like the slang terms that they use. As a guy from Yorkshire, where the game is based, I was expecting it to be like actual dialect and actually have it pronounced as it is. But there were some times where they use words, and I was like, that's not how I use it.
So Earl Grey tea. Who in Yorkshire's drinking
No one.
bloody
No
Grey
one.
tea?
No.
English breakfast.
For a game set in like Cumberland, there was a strange amount of like Scouse accents.
Welsh accents as well.
A little bit of Scouse.
Yeah, it was a very strange mix where someone's just gone. No one's given thought to actual regional variations in British dialect and just gone, get all the British, get
them
your
all
Cockneys in there, get your Scousers in there. You know,
I
just
don't know how long
big
PG
old
tips
melting
have been
pot.
around, but I was like, where's the PG tips at? You know, like, where's the actual stuff
Easily would have existed here.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. I think that one of the reasons they chose Earl Grey potentially is because I think it's one of the most recognizable British teas that American audiences would see. Like, I think they assume that we tend to drink Earl Grey, but my go-to is either PG tips or English breakfast. So
English breakfast isn't a brand.
Yeah,
that's just a generic
style.
Yeah, so why don't they just use that? Oh.
I know.
They pick the one tea type where like nobody drinks it. No one drinks it.
No one here drinks it. So I think genuinely Americans just would understand Earl Grey. Ooh, posh.
It's
got that Star Trek influence to it. It's got that Picard tea, Earl Grey, hot.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's ingrained.
I did appreciate all the Cornish pasties, but again, why it's an on Cornwall?
Yeah.
But
Speaking of the Britishness, did we clock many of the British references and Easter eggs that were strewn across the game? There's the TARDIS, which is also weirdly a reference to Fallout 2, I think it is.
Yeah, because they had the TARDIS in that.
Bean on his car.
Yeah, there's a dead parrot from Monty Python in Morris's shop.
Yeah.
As well as 4 candles.
Oh, 4 candles! Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
There's there's a huge amount of references. I said it in the last podcast, maybe not actually on the podcast, but in our own chats. I still maintain that the robots all sound like Daleks.
Yeah.
I saw quite a few references to lots of classic British TV shows and comedy and news events. It was quite nice being a Brit and seeing it all and recognising it.
Digesting this game. I'm so used to like them.
Yeah.
I think ages ago they said that Fallout wouldn't work in the UK. It's like, why not? You know, so it's like everything. I'm so used to everything being in America and Americanized, and it's like, hey, you know what? Europe's got a lot of stuff going on too.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about generic, Europe. When Resident Evil decides to pop up over here, and you just don't know where on earth they are really.
See, America's got Fallout, Russia's got Stalker. Now we have Atomfall.
Yay! Yay!
There you go. We've got our own post-apocalyptic franchise. So there you go.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
So
The
before we
Cold War
dive into
sets off
the-
again.
before we dive into the spoilers, yeah, you said about how we feel like how we rate this.
Yeah,
So where are our ratings
we'll probably save that like right at the very end
Good.
after we're done
Cool.
with the endings.
That's what I was trying to do.
But
Cool, okay.
you guys, you have a spoiler that you want to go over. The
Yes,
twist
so
thing.
I'm going to touch on it very lightly, and then in the future, Ben, when we refer to this, we're just going to talk. I'll say what the rule is, what we're going to say about it, and not the word that I want to use.
I am
Sam,
here. I'm listening.
Do you want to just you're going to listen to the spoilers?
I'll listen to it. I've already
Okay,
kind
so-
of made my mind up on the game anyways, and I already know what I'm going to say.
Hold on. What do you think? So we're going to talk about the twist. So as someone who hasn't played the ending or discovered what is actually going on, what do you think actually went wrong in the plant?
So they've obviously mentioned in my timeline of my game, they've mentioned that this substance that they have, it came from outer space. Okay. It came from outer space. On a meteorite. Right. Okay. Was that it? Was that it? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Right. Fair enough. Yeah. So
I didn't want to spoil that there was an alien substance that landed.
Yeah. So it landed in Cumbria. They were testing on it. They were trying. I'm assuming they were trying to find like some sort of like new renewable energy source or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then people started becoming infected with it, hearing the voices. People then went crazy, turned into ferals.
Yeah, that's it.
Everything just kind of went all tits up. And then something happened within the actual plant itself to make it explode. And they also mention as well the substance has gone into the soil, and that's why you see these plants appearing everywhere. Because I was kind of thinking, like, why are the glowing plants all around? And it kind of explains why Sims is telling all of his Dalek robots and all of his protocol staff to, burn the plants and everything. Oh, I'll tell you one thing about, we're on the topic of plants, one thing that absolutely scared the shit out of me, the sheep on the floor, and then you get close to them and they explode.
Yeah.
I did not expect those. I didn't expect that.
Those and the bees, beehives in the trees, just swarming you constantly.
The rats, so annoying. That's why
can we talk about the animals for a second? They are so annoying. So irritating.
They're the worst thing of the game. Like the bats, the birds, the bees or wasps, the rats. That's why I had a hatchet, because I just stand there for ages and just go. Because it was just so annoying.
The next thing you know, you stand in bars trained, you're like, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved kicking all the bats in the face and all the birds in the face, because you discover quite quickly that the rats, the bats, and the birds do like basically no damage to you. So you just stand there kicking them, and you just take a beating while you're just kicking the shit out of them.
They do a tiny bit, it's enough to piss me off.
Yeah, but especially when you get the health skill, it's negligible. The sheep and the bees, though, they drain you in seconds. They are an absolute nightmare to work around. Mm-hmm. And I really, really wanted an occasion where I'd encounter some enemies near those bees, and I could like shoot the nests or something to antagonize them and get them to kill a bunch of cultists for me or something like that. And it just never presented itself.
I had that. These two outlaws, I was stalking them. I was going to try and get up behind them and kill them. And they just went, "What is that?" Turned around. All you hear is, and you just hear you see all these bees just start attacking them. And I was just stood there like, this is cool. And then they turned to me and they started coming towards me. I was like, okay, no. But no, I had that, and that was interesting. That was interesting. I liked that. But the thing is, with the animals, it never tells you exactly what you need to do. So you'll think to yourself like, all right, rats are killing me. If I kill enough of them, they'll stop. They never stop. They just keep coming. It's like an infinite spawning area. So then I found one of the nests in Wyndham Village and I killed it.
The rats and the birds will.
Say that again.
What did you
say, Ben? Broken up a little bit there. The rats and the birds, even though some of the nests are hidden inside walls and you can't destroy them, they will stop.
Oh, they do stop. It didn't feel like it. It did not feel like it.
It didn't feel... No, I will agree. It didn't feel like it.
It didn't feel like it. You know, I don't know if anyone's ever
read...
Well,
considering that every time you fight them, there's like 4 nests around you at once. It's never just one.
I don't know if anyone's ever read The Rats by James Herbert, but that's what I thought of, like a horror novel where the rats just start like eating everybody, like flesh-eating rats, and that's what it reminded me of. Like, oh no, they're coming after me. The birds were all right. The birds and the crows and the bats, they were fine. I didn't mind them that much. But it was just the rats and the bees.
Yeah.
They were just so annoying.
Anytime I went into the interchange that was inside Wyndham Village, I just yeeted straight under that door that's slightly ajar. Went straight under it, just to, By the way, my camera, like my laptop's almost out of battery, so I had to plug it back into charge. So we get to witness glitchy Nicole for a little bit.
10 frames per second.
Yeah. So, so about all the cool spoilers except the end. So we can kind of touch on everything a little bit. Good. So this is see you know enough. I will say I really like the way that the game unfolded those things, because it's not a big cutscene that kind of announces it to you. You just you just play through it and find it in notes and recordings.
Cool notes and leads.
Yeah, and I find that really just something really refreshing and nice about that.
It does world building really well, I'd say.
It does. That's why.
That's my biggest takeaway from it. I think is despite all the flaws that are quite visible in the game, despite all of that, it still manages to give this really compelling, like, experience that has this great story that's told to you naturally, and it's intriguing and captivating, and it still pulls that off despite all the issues that we might have come across as we've been playing it, which I think is a well done to Atomfall.
Yeah, they did good. Now let's talk about the ending then. So obviously, I've not got to that point. I do feel like I have an understanding, and I know that there are like 6 different endings that you can get depending on who you want to escape with. Okay, right. Well, yeah. So just explain that to me then. So I think out of all the ones right now, so let's just go over like the endings then. So you've got Joyce, the radio lady. You got Captain Sims. You've got Mother Jago, Dr. Garrow, Dr. Holder. Who else am I missing? The voice on the telephone.
The voice on the phone. Yeah.
So
telephone.
The telephone's been with you since the beginning, but the telephone speaks in riddles. Yes. So unless they start giving me a straight answer, I'm probably not going to go with them. Holder seems all right. Haven't met Garrow yet. Mother Jago just reminds me of that one Fallout 4 NPC that wanted all the jet.
And I never trust the old ladies with the drugs.
No. What was her name now? Mama Murphy from Fallout 4. That's what she reminds me of.
Yeah, there was also that one from Baldur's Gate 3, who I didn't trust either, and I'm glad I didn't.
Oh, the witch.
And then there was also that witchy lady played by Susan Sarandon in Dishonored. Nanny something. What was her name? She was so creepy. Yeah. Nanny Rags, Granny Rags. That's it.
Granny Rags. Oh, I'm not trusting her. She got that name. Absolutely not. And then who are the other ones? Joyce just appeared out of nowhere. In fact, she actually scared the shit out of me because she just.
I came up and I was like, "Whoa!"
It's like, "Hello, anyone there?" And then who else? Captain Sims. Captain Sims is just military man, so probably not.
Oh yeah.
So I think probably right now at this moment in time, I think it probably would be a toss up between Joyce or Dr. Holder, either one of those two.
I didn't trust Joyce because she wasn't honest with me. So what I will say about Joyce is that you can find her earlier on hidden out in an area. You can find a note that tells you where she is. I never did that. I saw her appear in the interchange and I shat myself when I got upstairs.
I found her in a bunker out in the world.
Yeah, so I found her in the thing and she scared me. Out of everybody that I could have, I trusted the voice and Holder the most. The voice because the voice was trying to help me all along, telling me not to trust people. And to be fair, I didn't trust anybody. They told me not to trust and I was right. In trusting them in that way. Dr. Holder was the one I went with in the end, simply because he was so upfront and honest. The only thing he didn't tell me was that he wanted to shoot Garrow in the face. But I could see it coming. And then when he shot her in the face, he went, "I'm so sorry, you don't understand. This woman did horrors to my friends and colleagues and abandoned us." And I went, "Hey, look, mate, we good. You're in the right here. Don't worry about it." And he had the glowing eyes thing, but he'd taken the drugs, so he managed to stay sane and capable, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to help me, you can take this drug and you can be like me, and then we'll sort it out later." I was like, "Fuck it."
Can I jump in with that drug for a second, right? So he gave me the drug as well, and I was like, "Oh, sweet," because back at the interchange there was this one area where it was just full of the blue stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought something like that. Yeah. So I took the drug. Took the drug, thinking to myself, "Oh, I can manage that now." died straight
No.
away. I was like, right, so what is the point of the drug then?
I took the drugs with all the stimulants. I was like, let's go.
Yeah,
It was annoying.
the
Yeah.
drug does make a difference in that area. I
Slightly,
found
yeah.
it does help get you through it, but yeah, you do need to combine that with some of the tonics you can craft as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, which is quite annoying, but what can you do?
So,
Yeah.
what happens then? So, Ben, actually, who did you go with for the ending?
Yeah.
I went with the telephone.
I did both technically, so we can talk about that in a
Yeah,
minute.
I mean the thing I had with it was that throughout the whole game, no one's telling you to trust. Everyone's saying don't trust everyone else. So for me, it ultimately came down to which ending do I think is going to be the most interesting,
Yeah.
and I felt that the telephone was likely
The
to have the
answers.
most interesting ending. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if not the answers, but it was going to be. This is setting up for something weird and kooky to happen, and I'm down for that.
Yes.
But I think we can safely say that didn't really happen.
No, so should we talk about going into the final, into Oberon and
Yeah, should we
and how
walk
the ending-
through how we get to the
Yeah.
end? Yeah.
So the interchange, I'm an idiot, by the way. Hours before I went into Oberon, I had powered up everything, and I was like, "Fuck, do I do now?" Took me way too long to realize that the reason that my stupid signal thing was going off was because in the room, you look at the floor, and on the floor at the center of the interchange is a bunch of switches you have to flip using the signal redirector in order to connect everything up and open the door to Oberon. And I didn't realize that, so I fucked around for ages doing other things. But I'm kind of glad I did, because I ended up getting everything I needed, except for Sims stuff, to go into Oberon and decide then and there how I was going to end everything. So the options that you end up going in with are, is it like sample one from Holder? He gives you a sample of a corrected version of of some sort of serum, and it's a poison to poison the system to get rid of everything. On top of that, I think someone wanted me to get a sample from the core.
Garrow wants you to
Takeout?
get the
Yeah.
sample from the
Yeah.
core.
She didn't tell me that. I just went in and found the drill option and went, fuck it, just in case. So I just took it.
Same.
Shits
That's
and
what I
giggles.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
And then I also had Mother, is it Jago? I had or Jago. I had her thing as well, just in case. So I had pretty much everyone except Mr. Sims or Colonel Sims, whatever. I had everyone's stuff except for his ready to go. So I went in and I had lots of options. Luckily, I had enough atomic batteries as well to put into a power supply you need to fill up. So then I was going around just doing everything. I triggered. Also, there's the destroy option for the telephone, which is to trigger 4 different explosives around to destroy it. So I set up everything, and then I stood in the control room and went, which one am I doing? And just sat and thought about it for 5 minutes. And then the one I ended up going with was poison, because to me it felt like the right option. I trusted Dr. Holder the most. I was technically doing what the guy on the phone wanted because I was destroying it, but he told me, don't do poison. It's not good enough. You need to blow it up. And I was like, but what if everyone dies and chain reaction of explosions? I go with poison, bitch. So I did that, and I poisoned it. So that's what I did before we talk about the end. So Ben, what did you do?
I was at a point where I was like, I'm gonna do all the storylines. I'm gonna get everything ready, good to go, and then I'll make a decision at the very end. In the end, I decided not to do that. I got to a point where I was about 14, 15 hours in, and I'm like,
how long was your playthrough?
It was about 15, 16 hours altogether.
Mine was 18
so
hours.
I got to
Short game.
12 to 14 hours in, and I'm like, all these endings are going to be the same.
Yeah.
I just want to. I feel like I'm at the point where I'm starting to feel a bit done with it. I just want to experience the ending now.
Yeah. Fair.
So I chose to. I was like, I'll go in. I'll just do whatever I can find in there, and I'll see where it takes me.
Did you blow it up?
I blew it up. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's the one
aiming
thing that's in there
for
already.
the telephone ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm aiming for the telephone ending, but I'll just see what happens. If it doesn't happen, I'll take whatever I get.
So what I will say about leading into the ending is that it doesn't matter what you choose, really. It looks like you can escape with anyone, from what I saw. So I only had 2 options for escape. I had Dr. Holder, I wrote it down because I keep forgetting everyone's names, Dr. Holder or the telephone were the two ones that I was kind of aiming for, who I'd fully like committed to. So I actually went with the phone first and then reloaded and went with Holder. Because either way, you can go either one. When I got to the phone guy at the end after poisoning, the phone guy was like, "Oh, you poisoned it? Good job. Yeah, you destroyed it. Good job." And I was like, "That's not what you asked me to do, arsehole."
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure Captain Sims is also to blow it up. Because I'm
did
fairly
do the
certain when I
radio
got out
though,
there, I also had a couple of different options
yeah.
to escape.
It's
But
like whichever one you choose,
I
no
would just
matter what, you can pretty much choose of several options to escape.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and either way, it's all ultimately the same.
Yeah, so let's
It's
talk
just
about it.
it's different. Yeah, it's different coats of paint to destroy it, and then
What's
different
that?
coats of paint to escape.
Just before you guys get into it, the one thing that I kind of want to know, and just yes or no answer will do.
Yeah.
Do you know who the voice on the telephone is?
No.
Okay,
No.
carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So so what I'm hoping is for a sequel or a DLC, and I'll explain why.
Actually, second question. Do you know who you are? Yes or no?
No!
No.
This is
Okay.
why we're annoyed. Okay.
I spent the whole game convinced that. Yeah, so I spent the whole game
one
convinced
too.
that the telephone was secretly going to be Oberon, and then it was this whole
Same.
thing where like Oberon's reaching out and he wants you
Yes.
to kill him because he's sick
Yeah.
of being experimented on.
Yes.
And then you get to the ending, and I'll spoil the ending for the telephone. The ending for the telephone is basically like, "Oh, we put you in there to destroy it, and now we're
That's
taking you
just
back out."
previously, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so you could have been the government just popping me back in there and messing with me. You could have been the aliens. You've given me
I was the
nothing
alien.
to go on
I thought
here.
I was an alien the whole time, some sort of like combination of something.
Like maybe you were the original sample. Maybe you were a bit of
Potentially.
sample one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I saw a dead body that I'm pretty sure was sample one. So
yeah, I mean, it does give that vibes. The telephone ending is very vague. You absolutely, the way you go in there and you get praised for just going in there and absolutely just going ham on everyone in there is very much of, oh, we expected you to be, above normal people, but like this is crazy good. Well done.
Yeah.
So it
You
does
murdered
give the
everyone.
implication that, yeah, there's a lot of different things you could be if you go down the telephone.
yeah.
And it just kind of, they just
Well,
knock you out and
I'm
they're like,
about to
okay, we'll see you
disappoint
for the sequel.
massively. So I'm about to make it even worse, unless you've already seen the YouTube video where you've seen every ending. So for Dr. Holder, that ending, I got to Holder after doing the phone one, and Dr. Holder was like, right, cool, we're gonna go hide in this little bunker down here and wait for the poison that did everything to clean the area of all the stuff. Our glowing eyes should go away within a week. Or something, a few weeks, and then when we re-emerge, people will be like, "Oh yeah, you're just normal," and they won't shoot us on sight. And I was like, "Someone was going to shoot me on sight for having glowing eyes," so that was it. Went into a hole, and then it ended. And then I think it was the voice on the phone that goes, "You chose to go with Dr. Holder, and your glowing eyes, and you hid in the bunker, blah blah blah." And then exactly the same as on the phone. You rampaged this, you did this, you did this, you did done. It was exactly the same, except the first sentence was, you chose this route, and then everything is the same. So I went, we're doing this, are we?
No.
Annoyed me. What I will say, the thing that I'm really glad I didn't choose to go with Mother Jago and the Druids, because we haven't mentioned this. If you don't choose them, the voices, which is pretty much like the substance, goes fucking mental and sends all the druids into Oberon to kill your ass if you do not choose Mother Jago's route. So when you're fleeing, all the druids are in there trying to murder you on your way out. So I just ran
Yeah, you
past
get
all
into
of them.
Wyndham and all the guards are like either dead or fighting off
Yeah.
attacking druids.
And the voice is in your head still because you've got the glowing eyes. And the voice is like, if you're not with us, you're against us, die. And I was like, okay, right, yeah, good. I'm glad I didn't go with you.
So wait then,
Druids.
is Mother Jago like the head of the druids or what?
She just serves the voice. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know,
they all just work for
there are two druid
Oberon.
kind of things. There's the druids, and then there's for Mother Jago's mission, you can go down into a little cave where these druids won't attack you because they've got the voice so in them, and because you're working for Jago, the voice lets you into that one part of the druid camp. But if you go anywhere else, it's there's two different elements of it, because she doesn't like the druids supposedly, but there's one element of the druids.
Well, the druids like her.
Yeah, it's kind of
very
weird.
one-sided.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I found it to be a bit So the ending for me, I think the game was sitting at a 9 out of 10 for how much I was enjoying it, and then it dropped to either an 8 or a 7 mentally for me because I was like, what a shit ending. Ending was
Yeah,
garbage. It was worse than the Mass Effect filter
it was
situation.
such an anticlimax.
Yeah, yeah, it
The
was
whole lead up to it and is quite interesting. Like I thought it was kind of tense fighting my way through the power station to get to Oberon and get to the ending. It was, it was a little bit challenging, and I was struggling for ammo, and I was like, this is okay. This is going well. I look forward to the final boss fight, and then it's like 3 robots, and that's it.
I didn't even
One of the
fight them. I
robots
just snuck
refused to
around
even
them,
shoot me.
pressed all the things
Yeah,
that I needed to do, and then fucked off.
that's what I did. There was 2 where they kept converging where I needed to go, so I was like, I'll kill one of them. The others, I snuck around one, and then the last one is the one that bugged out and it spotted me, but it just let me shoot it to death. So I just killed it really easily.
Weird.
And then doing that and then blowing it up felt like, oh, is this it? This is what the ending is. It's just pressing a couple of buttons and then running away. And then obviously you come out into Wyndham. The Druids are attacking Wyndham Village. As you're going to the bunker that you start the game in, to end for the telephone, the Druids are also attacking.
You cut out there. Say it again. The Druids are also attacking what?
The Druids are also attacking all of the outlaws in
Right.
Slattendale when you're fighting your way back to the bunker.
Yes.
I did initially start being like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get some final bit of combat. I'm just gonna jump in and like take down the Druids and the outlaws. I did that, and I was like, I did it with one little group, and I was like, you know what, this kind of blows. I'm just gonna ran all the way to the bunker, just ignored everyone around me, and just ended the game.
Ben, what's your
And
rating?
for me, I was in a similar. Well, if the ending had been pulled off, I probably would have gone for an 8. I was flip-flopping back and forth for a lot of the game between a 7 and an 8. I think ultimately I settled on a 7.5, and then dropped it down to a 7 for after the ending was a bit naff.
I'm really hoping that. So I would still say finish it, Sam. I think that.
Oh no,
we're
it
not
will be
far
doing.
off the
It
end
will be doing.
anyway. Yeah. But I'm hoping the sequel that they're doing, the DLC is planned. It's on there. They've already told everyone the DLC is coming. I'm assuming that we're going to get some sort of aftermath in the DLC where the real ending is. But I don't like when a true ending is hidden behind a DLC. That's
Absolutely.
where I don't agree.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I would probably say at this moment in time, just for my rating, because I'm the one reviewing it, 8 out of 10 for what I played so far. There was a time when I did bump it up to a 9 because I really, really was getting into it, and I just was having such a blast with it.
Yeah.
But then I think the cracks started to show, and when the cracks started to show, that's when you obviously start reducing it down. Now, I can't comment on the ending because obviously I've not played it yet. From everything that you two have said, I will probably maybe even bump that down to a 6.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Because if you're gonna hide the ending behind the DLC, it's a very scummy move to do. It's happened before. There was a game that came out called, I don't know if you remember this, Azura's Wrath. Do you remember when Azura's Wrath came out?
Yeah.
And that was the actual ending for that was hidden behind a DLC.
Dead Space 3 did that. The DLC is the real ending to Dead Space.
Yeah, and it's just a scummy move. It really is.
Yeah. To be fair,
I'll say as well.
Not a big AAA developer, like not big.
No, but still.
Yeah. So I'll cut them some slack. I know they want money, but you know.
Atomfall is peak AA game.
Yeah.
But I'll say as well that obviously we've all spent kind of the realm of 15, 20 hours or so in Atomfall. It can be completed in less than 5 hours. And there is an achievement for doing so. And all you have to do is you just focus on one of the endings. Yeah. Because each of the endings are about 5 hours long. The only reason you end up doing it for 15, 20 hours is because we do multiple different path lines and exploration and stuff. But if you literally just focus on the story quest to get to one specific ending and do nothing else, you will very, very in less than 5 hours. And I think that for me also kind of went against it because that just highlighted how how little that actually is to the game. It's just, it feels bigger because there's multiples of essentially the same thing to do.
Yeah,
Ben's epic
that's the thing with me.
speedrunning techniques.
Yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest, because I mean, like, you can speedrun a lot of games if you really try. Like Halo 2 Legendary can be done in under 3 hours if you really bloody try. I've done it, but like, it's just with the 5 hour thing. It's obviously like a second playthrough thing because none of us have naturally taken only 5 hours to play the game, so I don't mind it. But it's definitely like the kind of game that you're right. It has been built to. If you just follow one route, you could finish it that quickly. Your first playthrough is going to be a lot slower because you're still discovering everything. But on your second playthrough, if you do one, it's just going to be so easy to just barrel straight through because we know that everything is just crossed over. And I could just go for a really surface level ending where I don't have to go that deep into the hell that is some of the interchange. It sucks down there sometimes. Robotics is not fun. Medical's not fun. My two least favorite places. I don't like them. They're
The
bad.
detention block is not fun either.
No.
It's all ferals.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's just full of stuff. The interchange. Every time I was down there, I was like, "It's so cool down here. It looks really cool, and I like all the concrete and all the creepiness. But I don't like how many things in here want to kill me. So I just didn't like it down there."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
I think just as well probably. I think because we're probably going to wrap this up in just a couple
Yeah.
of seconds because we've been at this for an hour and a half. So if you're still watching, thanks very much.
yeah.
You must have a lot of free time in order to watch this. But one thing I just want to quickly just ask everybody, just to give you final thoughts on it from everything we've experienced so far, just as like a quick summary, what would be everybody's final thoughts? Nicole, do you want to go first?
Yeah, so for me, I loved it. I still love it. I understand why they did the ending, and I'm cutting them some slack for not being a AAA developer and needing more money to go towards their next projects. And sometimes they've got to do kind of shitty things in order to find a way. But putting an ending behind a paywall is the shittest thing to do, and I'm annoyed about it. What can I do though? You know, I'm not them. They chose to do this. I'm hoping that the DLC or a sequel wraps things up. I hope they do get a sequel, and I hope they don't do what they just did to us. I understand why they did it. I'm hoping that with the second game, they are able to make something truly fantastic and not do what they did. I think this being a testing game and trying out something new, maybe they were too scared to just go all out on it. Which I think is to their detriment, unfortunately. But I still say that for me as a whole, the game would be a 9 out of 10. Sorry, as a whole without the ending, 9 out of 10. But it dropped to like maybe a 7, 7.5/8, kind of in that weird area. Maybe more a 7, just because of that ending. So yeah, but I still love it. I still love it, and I want more games that do what this did. You know, but just be braver and finish it properly.
Commit to it. Perfect. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd overall kind of agree with what Nicole said. I think it really is a fantastic first entry into a franchise. Despite what I've said about it, despite the flaws that are visible, and despite sort of my misgivings about the choices and parts of the gameplay being at odds with itself, I do think it's definitely worth playing, and I think it's done a fantastic job of showing what Rebellion are capable of and what the franchise is capable of. I hope they get a sequel, and I hope that they utilize it to just do everything a bit bigger, a bit better, and a bit more depth. Because I genuinely do think that if that were to be the case, then we have a great of all time here.
Yeah.
But the sequel needs to pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of like. I think I'm kind of like more on the wavelength for both of you. If I'm honest with you, I personally I think it's probably gonna sit nicely at maybe an 8, for now. From what I've experienced, I do like I think the best thing for me is the freedom that it gives you, especially within those first couple of hours. I think is just a very nice, welcome change of pace.
It's refreshing.
It is, yeah, and you know you can obviously if that's not your thing, then you can obviously change the things in the settings or go down to a lower setting, and you can get those markers if you really want them. But that's the biggest thing. The combat I think is pretty good. It's pretty decent. Stealth sucks. There's no redeeming qualities about that stealth at all.
Yep.
But maybe the next one.
Yeah, who knows? And like I agree with what Ben said. It's a really, really good first outing for a franchise. There's a lot of room for improvement. sometimes when you do make a first installment of a franchise, you struggle a little bit with it because you're trying to pull people into it. So you kind of do put your all into it, but there are going to be things that do come through the cracks. And when that does happen, sometimes it can hamper an experience. The one thing that I do think that Atomfall definitely does right is not copy something like Fallout. It does stand on its own, and
100%.
everybody who does say that it does copy Fallout, it's just flat out incorrect. It's a different kind of unique game. It has a lot of familiar traits to Fallout, but it is not Fallout at all.
I will say, I didn't say this earlier, I actually don't like Fallout. I prefer the TV show because I'm much more of a linear kind of follower thing. I don't like getting sidetracked too much, so Fallout is not a game that's for me. I'm not a big Bethesda person.
I always get too distracted in Fallout.
Yeah. So for me,
side quests are better than main quests for me.
Yeah. So with Atomfall, I was kind of like, I'm worried I'm not going to like this if it's anything like Fallout. And I'm so glad that it's nothing like Fallout, which is why I love it so much. So yeah.
Yeah. No, perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. I think overall it's just a good game. It's a good game, and I think people should definitely 100% check it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Play it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That has been the Smash Jump podcast. Please, like, subscribe, check out the website, check out our reviews for it, because we've got a lot of fun things coming. So you've got Ben and Sam have done a lot more reviews recently. I've got one that I'm working on for something else right now, so check out their stuff. You guys got any plugs?
Go on, Ben. Plug your shit.
Plug your shit.
Do it.
Yeah. As always, I'll plug my own little YouTube. It's Food Thought Gaming. Aiming for fortnightly reviews of games, primarily older ones. But this, as of recording, is coming Wednesday. So by the time this episode is out, it will be up already. Will be my Atomfall review in all its detail. And yeah, other than that, just check out the things I've done for Smash Jump.
Yeah.
Perfect. I might as well plug my YouTube channel as well. Game Opinion. I'm doing 3 different videos. The one I'm working on the most now is talking about the Halo armor that is never returned, which is the Hayabusa armor. Hopefully, funny enough, that's in the video.
I own that song. I own it. I listen to it sometimes with shits and giggles.
I listened to it recently when I was editing, and I was like, "Oh, what an absolute bop this
was!"
What a classic! It was so good. But we're going to be talking about that. I did a lot of research into it. I know a lot about that armor now, but I'm also doing 2 other ones. I'm reviewing a very childhood classic game of mine, Spider-Man PS1. Love it. Still got a copy of it somewhere in all this mess. And then I'm also doing another one where we're ranking the Dead Rising Psychopath themes. You know what? I actually replayed Dead Rising. It's not as frustrating as I thought it was. It's actually pretty good. It's pretty decent. Controls still suck, but apart from that, it's pretty good. The psychopaths are brutal in that game. Honestly, they're so brutal. But no, that'll come out whenever I pull my finger out my ass and get to editing. So expect that soon. You can still vote for it on the channel as well if you want. So yeah. Nicole, plug your podcast. Go for it.
Yeah, so I have a Stargate podcast called Wormhole Extremists. We're on break again for a while because we're dragging out season 7 of SG1 because why not? It's a good season and everyone's busy. We weren't supposed to do today's podcast because I wanted to break this one, but I need to talk about Atomfall and I'm ill. So it's called Wormhole Extremists. So Wormhole, and then the letter X, and then Tremists. Which is weird, but it's a reference to the 100th episode. So yeah, check it out if you care. Ben did. Very fun. Thank you, Ben. But yeah, this has been the podcast. Thank you very much for checking it out. And go play Atomfall.
Go play it. It's good.
Yes, play.
Play.
Bye.